everybody. Welcome to Bizzy Living So Bomb. Busy Living So Bomb. Busy Living So Bomb. It is episode 453. He's trying to tell me what to do. Do you guys see? Like, he thinks that nobody's watching on camera. I'm like, we're on camera, dude. They can watch you while you're telling me, making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing correctly. Is that what you're doing?
I don't know. What are you supposed to be doing?
I'm supposed to just be doing my show.
Okay. I think you're doing a good job.
Welcome.
Thank you.
If anybody's here for the first time, if you're back, good to see you. And if you guys have never met officially, I'm going to introduce you all to this is my husband, JF. Hi, JF.
Hi. How is everybody?
I hope everybody's out there is doing well. By the way, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/Bizzy Living Soba and sign up. I've got some great things coming up in the near future, so go and check it out. It'd be really awesome if you would.
It's really easy too. I did it myself. It takes 2 seconds.
Yes, so my husband was my first subscriber. Isn't that the best? I have my husband as my first subscriber. It's kind of fun. So welcome. Happy Father's Day to every father that's out there today and everybody's who's out there celebrating. We are actually recording on Father's Day because I dropped this first thing on Monday morning, at 6 a.m. So you took time out of your Father's Day to sit and chat with me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
It's been kind of fun because we've been on a journey. We've been married for 6.5 years, I guess now. Yeah, it'll be 7 years, God willing, in December.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're halfway there.
We're halfway there. It is quite a journey, I have to say. And we're both sober.
Yep. No doubt about that.
Which is amazing. Amazing. One of the best gifts that we both have ever had, which is, I'll be celebrating 18 years, I hope, in August, and he'll have 26, God willing, in October. Wow.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem very relaxed, you guys. So how are we going to get him relaxed here?
Oh, I'm very relaxed.
You are? You don't look. You look very stoic. He's like holding onto his leg and everything. Come on, relax.
I'm following directions.
Okay, just relax. Just relax.
Does that mean I can stop looking in the camera the whole time?
Yeah, you can look in the camera though too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll do both.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
Perfect. So glad you're in.
Feel a lot better now.
You do?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you know what? I really just want to talk about life in general, sobriety, what's going on in the world. The fact that, I want to talk about something, we're going to go to the beginning of what has been on my mind. It's been interesting because obviously when we got married, I was raised, Catholic. My dad's Jewish. I then became an Episcopalian when my kids were young in about, I'd say 2000s, early 2000s. And when I met JF, what would you say your religious affiliation was, if there was one?
When I met you, I didn't have one. I was baptized as a Presbyterian. I went to the Presbyterian church with my mother when I was a little kid. And, and then she stopped going and I stopped going. And so I was one of those people that went every now and then. I'd go on a holiday and, it was mostly weddings and funerals. I always felt like I was a Christian, but I never did anything about it. And then, I met you and you introduced me to the Episcopal church in your neighborhood. And also the minister there, who I loved, and I
still love.
I absolutely love that minister, and and the church was very nice. So I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed it. I do enjoy going to church.
But it's interesting because on my journey, as we all know, because everybody who's been listening for a while knows, my Christianity, my sobriety. I don't think I would be sober if I didn't have a relationship with God. What would you say?
Well, I agree 100% with you. Yeah, I think that it's very important. It's very important for me, so I won't speak for everybody, but it's very important for me. I wouldn't do it without. I know that it was God that intervening in my life that got me sober. There's no question about it. Left my own devices, it wouldn't have happened for me. And I know you pretty well. I've known you for a long time, and I know that to be true of you as well.
Yeah. Everybody out there knows what's going on with me. It's kind of funny. They all know that where I am on my journey. And it's been, I would imagine, as someone that's watched me because everybody out there knows I've been a searcher, right? So I've been searching for so long. So the Episcopal Church was the answer for so many years. Then I moved to Florida. I don't find the church that's right for me. And I would say if there were one of us that leads us or takes us somewhere when it comes to spirituality, it would be me. I don't think you've that's your game. So you just go. He's very good and goes wherever I'm like, all right, let's go do this, let's go do that. But he doesn't really. Would you agree?
Sure, I'm willing to try anything, but I believe for me anyway, is God is, the most important part of the equation, and church really is more about community for me than it is anything else. So, I can try different communities and see what works, but like to me, if I go to a Catholic church, I go to Episcopal church, I go to a new age church, whatever it is, it's the same God. It's just the people that are different.
Oh, that's so interesting. Will you expand on that?
Yeah, well, I think that I felt like I was pretty concise, but it's just there's for me, there's just one God. And I think that all the Christians, no matter what sect they are, they all have it's the same God. Turns out that if you're a Jew, it's the same God. Turns out if you're a Muslim, it's the same God. And it's just different ways of worshiping. And so it's different communities. So, I mean, we drive around here and we go by Jehovah's Witness place every single day. Now, I don't know anything about it, but I know it's the same God. And, I see the people there and it's definitely just from looking, I mean, it's a different community than what I've seen in the Episcopal Church or in the Catholic Church. It's a different community. So, but that same God is always there no matter what. So I'm not a believer that one church has it right and that if I don't follow that church's, uh, you know, laws to the letter, that I'm going to be in big trouble. I'm just not a believer in that. I don't know that any church has it right. I know that God has it right. And, we've been various sects of Christianity going on for a long time, and the Jews go back further than that. So, but it's a long lineage all the way back to Adam and Eve and Abraham. But it's the same for all of us.
It's so interesting because we did wake up this morning, and I'm going to give you guys some background here. So, as you all know, I went to Medjugorje. I came back, and I have been like, "Oh my gosh, am I going to be Catholic again?" And just to be transparent, one of the things that I would have to do to be in good Catholic standing would be, you know, um, I like there's a better word for annulment. What was it?
It was a order of nullity, I think.
Yes, or just discrimination of nullity or something, some other better word that was annulment. But for me personally, that word annulment is kind of like I don't know. I was raised by somebody who was like used it as I don't want to say she used it as a weapon, but there was definitely, it was like, I'm getting my marriage annulled. And then what happens to you kids is that you become bastards. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so bad. You weren't you married to dad and made us in like when you were married, whatever. And and so yesterday we went to a church, the Catholic church, to talk to them about getting my marriage annulled. And it kind of felt a little confusing to say the least for me, and it felt very, I don't know, man driven.
Well, yeah, we talked about that. It's 100% man driven. It just there. I didn't feel the presence of God while we were having that conversation. That part of it for sure, because it was just about rules, and it was actually the person that we talked to had like a printed out flow chart that came from someplace.
The archdiocese.
And so he's like, okay, if this, then this, then this, then this, and then it gives you the answer. Do you need to spend money to get an annulment or not? And like, oh, gee, what a surprise! The answer is yes, you do.
And it's not about the money by any stretch of imagination. It's just about the journey and where it's going. And I've been, as you guys know, sober this whole time. I've been attending church. I always give God the credit for my sobriety. It is not Elizabeth, it is God. And going there and saying, all right, now you have to go show this lineage. It's just interesting. It was a very interesting journey. And I know after more times I sit with it, I'll have a better answer for it, but I thought it'd be interesting to talk to you about it as someone that is never been, like, inundated with the sort of laws that are with the Catholic Church, which I find are very interesting because so many people that I know, like so many of my friends that were raised Catholic, went to Catholic school, went to Catholic colleges, have got married in the Catholic Church, and today they haven't been to a Catholic church in decades, decades and decades and decades, just like I had been before went a couple, this year. And it's so fascinating that this is, as me walking around as a human being that sees people all the time and knows a lot of people that are, for one, sober, and a lot of people that are very, very spiritual. Because again, I don't think that you can be on a sober path if you don't have some form of spirituality. And to see that I went in there yesterday and it was so, I was like, well, if I go to church at the Episcopal Church, am I going and I get communion at the Episcopal Church? Can I still go to heaven? And he was like, yes. Okay. It's just very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, like I said, to me, it's about different communities and different rules. And like I find it interesting. So like I was baptized in the Presbyterian church. And then I met you and I became a member of the Episcopal Church. And you know, I go to the Catholic Church with you, but because I'm not a Catholic, I can't take communion, and that's fine. That, that's their rule, right? But if a Catholic shows up with me at the Episcopal Church, they can take communion there. I don't know, like, what is the difference? Do I think that God like cares at all about those rules? No, I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think he's that fine tuned as to who's doing what. So, I think for me anyway, as the observer, and your husband and your supporter, I know that what you're really looking for in all these different churches is the right community to fit into. That's it, 100%. So I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know. And it doesn't matter to me too much, really. I mean, I told you if you pick this church and I need to do certain things then I'll do it. It's fine with me. Um, because I've found pretty much good people in every church we've been to.
Well, you're really a positive person, to be honest. He's definitely not as opinionated as I am about certain things, which I'm working on, and less judgment on my part and all the rest of it. But I would love to know even more. Like, so this journey, because you go to AA. I mean, AA is part of your everyday life.
Yeah, most days.
I'm not giving up your anonymity, am I?
I don't think so. I already said I was an alcoholic. Yeah. But why do I go to AA? Oh, that's right, for the community and perhaps for the opportunity to be able to help somebody. That's really why I go. I go because I have friends there and it's fun to see them in the mornings.
It's your and it also keeps you sober.
Well, yeah, that's a fabulous byproduct of it.
Tell us about it.
What do you want to know?
He's
What?
really hard to interview, you guys. I'm just trying to tell you, it's like he does not flow. Um, where I want you to tell us what it's like for you. So for the past almost 25 and a half years, you've been going
Yes.
and you still go. And there's so many people out there that are like, you still go to
Well,
meetings? Like,
here's
what's wrong with you? So I want to, instead of like,
okay.
I think
So,
it's more, and for some reason, people do say that in a way that's kind of negative, like, why do you still go to those meetings? Instead of being like, oh, it works for you still. It's kind of funny, isn't it? And so tell us about that.
yeah, well, I believe, and I don't know because I never bothered to ask, but I believe people are like, why do you still go to those meetings? Because they're like, oh my God, like you still like have an overriding, need to drink alcohol if you don't go to a meeting every day. Like, is that it? And so, no, the answer is no. That's not why I still go to those meetings. And the fact of the matter is, I started going really by accident. My story is that I got myself in a situation where I was going to be court ordered to go to AA. I knew that, so I started going ahead of time, and I found that I liked it, and then I further found that well, these people really are sober, and I think I want to be sober. I really do. And so I went because that was the thing that was keeping me sober. I was hanging out with this group of people that were keeping me busy. They were telling me what to do. They were telling me how they did it one day at a time. And I learned from them. And so it was very important for me in the beginning to be there a lot because, yes, in the beginning, I did have an overriding urge to, to drink. I'd done it for a long time and it was hard to get away from it. But eventually, God lifted that out of me, that obsession. And, so it became for a while for me more of a social thing than anything else. I worked from home for a long time, and that's where I went during lunchtime, and that's where I met people, and I talked and I hung out for a little bit, and then I came back and did my life. And so now it's been 25 years, and so I enjoy the social aspect of it, but the the real reason why I go is because like I hope that I can say something or do something to help somebody, or that I can meet somebody that needs some help. And and I've been very blessed since we moved to Delray Beach that I found somebody that needs a ride every morning, and it's great, and I just I thank God for that every day. Like, thank you so much for putting this man in my life that needs a ride every morning, because it gives me something. It gives me a purpose every morning when I wake up, and and that's one of the things that they talk about there is you'll find a purpose to your life. And so it gives me a purposeful life, and I have a lot of gratitude for that. I really do, and and I try to find more people like that. I ask God every day to please put somebody in my life that needs some help.
I love that. Now, okay, I apologize for saying you were a bad interviewer because that was an amazing answer, wasn't it, you guys? He was so good. Oh, he's getting comfortable. I love it. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you. That
Sure.
was it. And I do think that it's such a treat to watch you get up. And when we first met, he definitely wasn't that, you weren't that much of an early bird as you are today, would you say? And now you get up at, like he gets up at, like, 6 AM, is picking somebody up and is out of the house. What time do you get up? 5:45?
No, I get up at either 5:30 or 5:45, depending on what I have to do in the morning.
And then you go and you pick up this person,
Yes,
a man, of course, and you drive him to the meeting
I do, and
every
sometimes
day.
I get to pick up somebody else. So you never know. The bus has plenty of seats in it, and so I love it. It's good.
And you do it every day at 7 you go
Pretty
to a 7 AM meeting.
pretty much 5 days a week. Pretty much.
It's amazing.
Hmm.
And it's given you this, it's kind of funny because it says a lot of these things in the Bible, right? It says, like, be of service to the fellow man, be of service to other people, be non-judgmental, help the person that's out there that needs help, and steward other people, right?
Right, and and I mean, what my take on Christianity right now is like the only commandment that Jesus gave us, when he was alive was love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Well, there's 9 other ones, but that's okay.
No,
Go ahead.
that's that, but Jesus didn't give those 10 commandments. I'm saying what Jesus actually said out of his mouth was love thy neighbor as you love yourself. That was it. Love. And so and then when I thought about that and I thought, okay, well, as an addict slash alcoholic, whatever you want to call it, in recovery, it takes a while to learn how to love yourself. And so, it's pretty hard to love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. And so I'm glad that I stuck around long enough to get to that place where I'm able to do it. And I found like so many good examples, and I found this great example, in the meeting that I go to every day of this gentleman that has been sober for much longer than I am, and he tells me, he says I'm a secret agent for Jesus. The reason I come to these meetings really is to pass on, the word of Jesus to all these people. But he's a great guy. I mean, he has his hand out to the newcomer all the time, and but that's what he's really all about. And I love it, and I love his attitude, and I love what he does. And I say he's a great example and a great teacher to me, and that's like the path that I've been put on. And that's why I met this guy. I guarantee you.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. And I want to go back to something you said, which is so important. I think so many people out there can relate to that feeling and that sense of not liking themselves and not loving themselves. And I feel like that's the last people we tend to love is ourselves, right? We beat ourselves up in our heads and we carry around our remorse and our sadness from yesterday and our bitterness from yesterday and our regret from yesterday and our shame from yesterday so much. And it becomes so overwhelming that we then are sad and negative, and I can just go on and on ad nauseum with negative, adjectives to explain the feelings that we have when we are self-loathing, and, I'm one that I can tend to sometimes have a pity party, as you know, and it's sometimes really it's hard in these days, I think. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that I have a theory.
Okay, I'm excited to hear it. Yay.
And so my theory is when I look back at myself and, you know, where I came from and where I got to and where I am and you know, the I and you said the word shame. And I think that's the most important word in that self, the self-loathing or self-hatred thing. And it's it's because like why am I different? Like why am I different from everybody else? Why am I different? And it's embarrassing and it's shameful. And when you're active in your addiction, you do embarrassing, shameful things. And and that's the beauty of the 12-step program is you get to find out if I can have an open mind, I get to find out, well, I'm not different from everybody. I might be different from a lot of people, but I am the same as the people in these rooms. And so I and my theory here's my theory is that nobody's perfect. God made us all, right? And I think that God made like it's almost like an Oriental rug. Like there's a mistake in everybody, right? And and I think that's part of our journey. I don't know why, but I believe it. I accept it. It's part of our journey is to find out what that mistake is, and then then our job is to overcome it. So actually, for me as an alcoholic, it's pretty easy for me. I mean, it became very obvious what my mistake is, and then there's this whole thing already in place for me to be able to overcome it. So it's pretty easy, and I know other people have much more difficult things that they have to overcome, and um, and I'm grateful for what I got. I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the community that I found. That enable me to be comfortable, okay with myself, and understand that it's just part of my path. So, and I try to explain it properly. Like, so God made me an alcoholic, but He doesn't want me to spend every day of my life getting drunk. He wants me to get over it. He wants me to get by it. He wants me to understand that I'll always be an alcoholic, but I don't need to drink. And I believe that every other person has some sort of mental twist or affliction, whatever you want to call it, that
Challenge.
that they need to overcome it. Yeah, it could be a challenge, but it has to deal with not just addiction, but all kinds of things. I mean, and the problem that I see in society right now is that we actually encourage people um, to explore the extremes of a lot of what this crazy stuff is that they got. And but it doesn't work for addicts or alcoholics because we just get arrested and thrown in jail when we explore the extremes. You know,
That's interesting that you're
other
saying that
people other people get, a million followers on Facebook.
by being it's so interesting you're talking about the Facebook thing. I was thinking about this today. I'm like, we went to a beautiful wedding this week last night.
Oh yeah.
Went to a beautiful wedding last night, and neither of us brought our cell phones because I forgot mine in the car, and you didn't even bring yours, which is he never brings his. But And I was at this wedding and everybody has their phone. Everybody's taking pictures. Everybody's uploading their things to, social media. They're putting everything on social media. We got to see this. We got to see that. We got to take ourselves selfies. We got to do selfie things. We got to do everything. We actually had somebody take our picture and text it to us. That was a picture that I actually put on social media
Mhm.
today. But it's so interesting that we live in this time of there's so much, what's the word? Divide. I loved, the best man said something about the election and said we're living in a time. What did he say?
Well, he was talking about, he was talking about overcoming tremendous obstacles, and he was speaking in relation to some problems that his brother, the groom, had that he was managed to overcome, and then very tongue in cheek, he said, like, for instance, um, you can go to bed in running for president and be behind by millions and millions and millions of votes, and suddenly you wake up the next morning and you win.
And that was really cute. But I saw somebody that was there that went, "Oh my god, did he just say that? Oh my god," like whispering, and I was like, "Wow, wow." We live there's no there's hardly any tongue in cheek anymore. Is
Mhm.
there?
No, no, and I was kind of speaking along. I mean, to be more specific, I was speaking along the lines of, like, maybe God made this person that we speak of from time to time. God obviously made everybody. This person is a man who wants to be a woman swimmer. So maybe God made him with that thought in his head. But I believe that the proper course of action is not to pursue the insanity. Like, for me, it's not to pursue the insanity of the first drink, but it's to pursue, the sanity of saying, okay, this is crazy and it's destroying my life. And I need to overcome this thing that God gave me. And that's why I say I'm grateful that I got what I got and not what that guy got, because if I act out on my thing, I get in big trouble. When he acts out on his thing, he seems to gain more fame and notoriety, and that's a sad thing, because I think God wants him to say to himself, ultimately, I'm a man. I have these feelings. It doesn't matter. The facts are the facts, and I need, like, just like I need to live my life as a man, so does he.
It's interesting because, the way that we all today are, like, just going with our impulses, and I heard it this morning. We both heard it this morning when we were listening to a devotional this morning, and it talked about how, at times you can't just go with what your gut tells you to go with, and I feel like the where we live today, there isn't the thought prior to doing things. I don't know if this is everyone, by the way. And I don't want to generalize, but I think for some, and I've noticed this a lot more recently, is that the thought of the neighbor, the friend, like prior to putting something up on social media, do you think about how is this going to affect somebody else? I know it makes me feel good right now, and I'm not using me, but whomever it is like having this feeling like I'm going to put this out there, and I'm not going to think about how it's going to affect other people, how other people might feel about this or anything else. And I don't want to make everybody feel like happy and all the time, but it like sometimes is it anybody's business? Like, what is it about? Like, why can't we just sometimes just be? And do we have to put everything on social media like anybody cares? I mean, my favorite thing ever was Betty White. Now, of course, we're old enough to remember when there was no Facebook. So when it came out, Betty White went on Saturday Night Live and she was like, "Facebook, like, you think that I wanna go and look," like, if somebody invited me to their house to come for a dinner party, which we have been invited to somebody's house before where they showed us all the pictures of their vacation, and we were like, "Shoot me out. What do we Let's go. Oh my gosh, I have a stomachache. I gotta go." Because who really wants to sit there and just watch someone else's vacation on the computer, like on these pictures? It's like, wait a minute, when does it feel this need to like share every minute of every day of our lives with other people that we're even friends with? Because I don't think even our friends really care, or sometimes even family doesn't care. But we tend to do this all the time.
Yeah, I have. as you know, I'm not a social media person at all. I don't find it interesting, thank goodness. Um, but I think that for I believe anyway that it's all about feeding the machine. Okay, so it creates this feedback loop that um, that that is I feels very similar to addiction. So you're on the machine, looking at everybody else, and then you're putting your own stuff up there because it's not about sharing anything. In my opinion, anyway, it's really not about sharing. It's just about look at me, look at me, look at me, and the feedback loop just keeps everybody hooked on their phone. So, like you said last night, we're at a wedding, and there's a lot going on in the wedding. And my phone was 4.5 miles from where the wedding was, and yours was out in the parking lot, which was just the same. It didn't matter, and so we were forced to be present the entire time. Um, but there's lots of people that are just scrolling through their phone while all this stuff's going on, and
Even at our table, and they were our age, and they're on at the table, and they're, like, scrolling, and they're on their phones the whole time. I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, we're here, like, look at these beautiful flowers, look at this beautiful love in front of us, these beautiful families that just came together and are united," and it's just like and the music, even some of the music, even though JF doesn't love all the music, but,
Mhm.
some of the music today he's not really crazy about, but that's okay. But we sat back and we watched it and we were there and we were present in it. I never missed my phone at all. I mean, unfortunately, I did have some things going on that we had to deal with afterwards,
It was fine.
but it was fine. We got
And
it done.
that, to me, the saddest part of the cell phone is that, I go to places I've never been before that I'm never gonna be there again, and the cell phone is the one thing that can take me away from that and not even be present for it, you know?
Well, and that's another thing. Like, I remember we were listening to something, I don't know when it was, but it was talking about how, like, they say in the 12 steps, like, the easier, softer way, and, like, life is so right now, it's like, like, I said it to you this morning, I said, "Why is it that if you're not busy all the time, there's something wrong with you?" Like, if you don't have something to do and I have a dear friend I talk to every day of my life, and she's like, "Why does everybody have to tell me how busy they are?" Like, everybody has to go, "I'm busy. I'm so busy. Oh my gosh, I'm so busy." And it's is it are they bragging if they're so busy? Are they wanting you to feel sorry for them because they're so busy? Is it a choice that you're so busy? I mean, it all comes down to that. Or is it that we have to constantly be moving and busy so we actually don't have to sit back and feel all the feelings that we're feeling? I mean, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, I feel like ever since, and I hate to use COVID, but I'm going to use it anyway. COVID was such a time where so many people, for one, the people that like to isolate loved it. They were like, this is just the best thing ever. I don't have to go back out and talk to anybody. I don't have to make small talk. I don't have to show up at parties. I don't have to show up at work getting dressed. I get to sit in my house and I get to isolate. And that's what I want to do. Okay. Those people loved it. But the part that was so hard, at least for me, was not being around other people. Luckily, I was around you and I was around my 3 kids, which was fun. I mean, not for my kids, they were dying to get out of there. They're like, "We wanna go back to college and go have fun," which I totally understand too, because that's human, right? To wanna sit and hang out with your parents all day long, for day after day after day after day is monotonous, and you don't get to do anything. You have to order food and you have to clean everything off, which was a nightmare. Oh, why did we do that anyway? I have no idea. I hope whoever wanted it to happen enjoyed it and got a big laugh out of it, but for all the rest of it, it was definitely hell on earth. But anyway, um, and that time and now where we are today, we've left there with that still the same fears, right? We still have these fears. It was all like, we're going to die. We're going to die. They're trying to tell, I mean, now they're trying to say, well, the election's going to come and you might have to get another vaccination because there could be, it's imminent that there's going to be another strain that's going to be worse. So you better be out there. And it's like, fear, 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 be scared. Be scared. It's
Mhm.
crazy. And one of the things I learned when I was in Medjugorje, which I absolutely loved, was that it is a sin to be fearful, right? You cannot. It's not. It's sinful not to trust, right? You not. It's not to trust. And I found it, and I mentioned this in my newsletter last week, last Friday. If you want to check it out, you can find
You
it on my
did.
website under newsletter. Last week's June 14th newsletter. I mentioned in there. I just lost my train of thought. Um, I mentioned in there what? Oh my gosh, I just lost my
That
train.
fear is a sin.
That fear is a sin, and that I found it so interesting that 63% of Americans claim to be Christian, right? 63%. That's a
Mhm.
lot. That's more than half. And every person was like following along, like, okay, we didn't question. There were a lot of people that did question. I'm not gonna say not everybody questioned, but some people were like, wait a minute, I'm not jabbing myself with this. I don't know what it is. And then they tried to pressure you into doing it. I actually watched something on YouTube about this. They were going around with with Fauci actually, with a camera crew and knocking in a neighborhood that had mostly black people in it, and they were going to door and being like, "Come on, we're gonna jab you right now." And like this one gentleman coming outside, and he's like, "No, I don't know what this is, and you're not giving it to me." And it's been that fear when you're fearful all the time or filled with anxiety, which is a beautiful word to say, I'm scared, is fear, is anxiety, I believe, right?
It's definitely is the same thing, and it just I guess anxiety sounds better, I guess.
We didn't have anxiety when we were growing up. I never knew. I never went to high school and had somebody go,
I have
Elizabeth, I
anxiety.
have anxiety.
Mhm.
No,
No.
no. They might have said, Elizabeth, we need to go outside and smoke a cigarette. Just kidding. But,
Mhm.
you know, I need to take a time out. And it's people did that, but people did not say, I have anxiety. I've got this anxiety. I need to go get medication for my anxiety. I remember that people like I even know people that had severe ADHD and they'd be like, well, you need to take Ritalin. And they'd be like, I'm not taking any drugs. I'm just gonna enjoy my AD. I'm gonna enjoy my ADD.
Well,
And
see, you're a little bit younger than me because there was ADHD hadn't been invented yet when I was a kid. It was called they were called hyperactive, and so, they just got jobs in school, like sweeping the floors, whatever it was. They gave them something to do, keep them busy.
really,
Yeah,
they had kids sweep the floors at school
sure.
as like just as a job.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, your free time, you can sweep the floors, absolutely. Wash the blackboards, there's all kinds of stuff you could do.
And did they pay him?
No, you were in school. You were a school kid.
Can
Yeah.
you imagine that today? Okay, Tommy, you've got really bad ADHD. You know what? Rather than sitting here and torturing you, why don't you go clean off this? Go. But I do remember that we did have like having to clean the erasers.
There's all kinds of stuff to do,
I remember cleaning the
but they were just
erasers.
hyperactive kids. That's
Yeah.
all, and everybody's like, they're just hyperactive. They'll
So there,
outgrow it, you know, that's that.
and it's true. I don't know if we outgrow it, but we learn to maintain it, right?
Sure, you get by. I mean, so that's another thing, okay? God made you that way, okay? Did he want you to be an anxious mess the rest of your life?
No.
No. He wants you to say, "Okay, I'm hyperactive or I have ADHD, so, what am I gonna do about it? I don't need to be drugged for it." I just have to learn how to live with it, and that's what he wants you to do.
And for me, I do it all the time. It's the craziest thing is that and you watch me do this all the time. Like I will have brought in bring in, the groceries and then I'll be like, okay, I've put the groceries away. Oh, wait a minute. I got to clean out the dishwasher. Oh my gosh. I've got to go cut those flowers. Oh, I've got to go put this in water. Oh my
You know
gosh.
you know what we used to call that?
What?
We used to call that "give a mouse a cookie."
I've never heard that.
Yep, you give a mouse a cookie, and then it just goes on from there. And eventually, you circle all the way back to like, "Alright, I gotta put the groceries away."
Yeah. And thank God the ice cream's not melting onto the floor that I forgot to put in the freezer.
Mhm. So, but really, it's so I'm glad you brought that up because it brings me back to my original point of just like, these are all things that, like, nobody's perfect. That's a loose thread that God put in you when he made you, right? And so he just wants you to acknowledge that and learn how to live with it. That's what I believe anyway.
I love that. Embracing who you are. That's like with Busy Living Sober. That one thing I embrace is that I'm able to go out there and just people have, and I've mentioned this before. I'm like, so when people write to me all the time and they're like, you're so courageous for talking about Christianity, talking about, my beliefs are and my sobriety and our sobriety. And I don't feel like it's courageous, like going on the front lines like so many people do, who I thank all endlessly um, for going and fighting for our country, because that I think takes courage. I think this is like somebody has to wake up and say, okay, there's grown-ups in the building. There's some grown-ups in the building, and we can't really just, go with what everybody goes with. And I have one more, thing, and we could talk for days, you guys, but I I love having you on because it's so fun, because we do this anyway. We banter like this all the time at home, so I thought it would be fun to have him on today. And but we had dinner on Friday night with these young people, and the one person said, "Oh, I was just in Tokyo, and I went to Pride in Tokyo." And I was like, "Well, that's great. Are you gay?" And she's like, "No, but I just loved it. It was just so great." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I also mentioned to I don't know if that story actually has relevance to my question. I have to go back, but oh, I know. She goes, "Well, it's okay. Everybody can be what they wanna be, and it's okay. You can just go and be with what you wanna be with." And we touched on this a little bit earlier, is like that choice of, like, going with whatever you want your feelings are at the moment, rather than doing what is morally and courageously right. And it's sometimes harder to be, you know, transparent and moralistic and go by what your ethics and your standards are, instead of what everybody else wants you to be. And I think today in this world, we spend so much time on, you know, especially the younger people. I don't know how much the 50 and 6-year-olds and 40-year-olds, I don't know how much they put credence into the Kardashians and, you know, getting all your stuff done on your face so that you look good in these photos, and not embracing who you are. And I think that, like, when did our outsides and what we look like and unauthenticity, not being authentic, trumped being authentic, and being like, I don't care what this family's doing in California with all their family members and all having babies, getting divorced, having more babies, getting divorced, having many different people that they're with. And there's no morals there. They look good and they're rich, but like, God has been replaced by money. I really believe that. I really believe that. And I think that because that brings such uncomfortableness inside of us, and that sense of, like, I guess, anxiety, that sense of fear, that sense of not being able to measure up because financially you might not be in the same place as these people that we've put on this pedestal, which I have no idea why they're on a pedestal. I don't know what they did that enticed so many people to say, "Oh my gosh, they're so great," when their mom actually sold a sex tape of them to make them famous, which is so, like, basically disgusting so many levels, that your mom would actually do that to you, and you think it's great. It's just like, but now I can drive a G-Wagon, and I can have a big fat house, and eh, my life is just so, but it's not.
No. Do you wanna hear my theory?
I so do. I wanna
Okay.
shut up now. I'm gonna shut up and you
Okay.
go,
Well, here's
'cause I
my
went on a
my
tangent, excuse me.
my theory is that everybody wants to be happy. That's what everybody wants. There's not a person on earth that says, "You know what? I don't wanna be happy. I wanna be miserable." Nobody says that. Everybody wants to be happy. And the problem is that I see is that, um, we live in a, uh, consumer-driven, materialistic society, and so, we've been subtly brainwashed, and this is not a new thing. This has been going on for as long as there's been advertising. We've been subtly brainwashed that, if I get this or if I achieve this, that will make me happy. And if you watch any advertising anywhere, that's what it's all about. It's all about this is going to fill what you need to make you happy,
That God-shaped hole.
whatever it is, and it could be the clapper, and it could be, it could be the fishing rod in a pocket, or it could be a G-Wagon, or it could be a G5, you know, or it could just be fame. And, uh, and I really thought about it a lot because we talk about success in and in this country, like success seems to equal fame and fortune, right? Just like in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, fame and fortune. Um,
Wait, sing that again. Wait, tell everybody. Wait, I've got to remember that scene. Go ahead. Go back and tell me that scene
well,
again.
that's when the dentist is with Eucorn Cornelius, and they're seeking fame and fortune, and
Oh
they have,
yeah.
yeah. Um, and s- and it's just an advertising ploy. It really is. Um, and what I really thought about it the way I thought about it was this way: I was like, okay, so they're telling me that success is about fame and fortune. So does that mean that um, my minister can never be successful because he's never going to get rich being a minister? No chance. Um, and he's never going to be famous. Does that mean that my third grade teacher that had such a huge impact on my life and a lot of other person's lives, that person's never going to be successful? And I thought that obviously it's completely wrong. Success has nothing to do with that. And I believe that for myself anyway, I believe that um, if I'm happy, if I'm truly happy, well, I'm successful. Whatever that looks like on the outside, it doesn't matter. It only matters on the inside.
And it comes from family and God is seriously where the
What?
happiness and where that comes from is your relationship. For one, for me, it's with God first, right? And then
Absolutely.
us, because we're married. That's so our where we are together, and then our kids, our family. And some people don't have kids, but it's like having the relationships is what is so rich in life, is being able to have these relationships.
Yes, and I won't say 100% yes, it comes from God and family, but I will say 100% that it's only going to come from inside me. It's not going to come from outside of me. And the Holy Spirit lives in me, so I agree with you that God is the big part of that. You know, because we're all in touch with God all the time, and I know it's God's so interesting because I have really come to realize so much in the last 12 to 18 months how uh, God is in my life all the time. I mean, all the time. I There's no coincidences, and just the craziest stuff keeps happening to me that there's no way it's random, you know. And it's just God being there, and it's I think it's always there, and it's always there for everybody all the time. But it's just how much you notice. And I believe the way you notice is to get a relationship with God. But I also believe that that takes time and it takes work and it takes effort. Um, and it's just all about the journey. And so for me, I'm a very grateful person, and I'm a pretty darn happy person. I really am. You know that, you live with me. And sometimes you're like, well, I'm so happy because I am, because I'm happy. And you know, and that's it. It's just, because God is there. He made me. I didn't make me. I am what I am, and I'm grateful for everything that He's given me. Whether you think it's good, bad, or indifferent doesn't matter, because it only matters God made me this way, so it must all be good, right?
Love that, you guys. Thank you.
So with that,
This has been an awesome podcast,
have
you
a
guys.
great
I
day.
hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm gonna throw something out there just because I don't know, suggested to me, and I always like to share this. So I got a text message today that said that every day for the next 9 days to go outside. And I know we missed because you're listening to this on Monday. But if for the next 8 days, starting today, you go outside at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time and say the rosary, might be amazing. I just think that I heard that there was a message, and either you believe it or not, but go outside and say the rosary at 5:30 Eastern time for the next 8 days. And I don't know, they're saying that the Blessed Mother came out and said this because something could happen on the 25th of June. I just want to make sure that if you're out there and you have a rosary and you're not doing anything at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, go out and say the rosary for the Blessed Mother. She would be really grateful for that.
And to that, I would say, as not a Catholic person who does say the rosary all the time,
Oh, I
you know,
love
is do I think it's for real that the Blessed Mother said that? I don't know, but do I think it's going to hurt me to say the rosary at 5:30 for 8 days in a row? Absolutely not. So why wouldn't I do it?
I love that
Hmm.
because you say the rosary every day.
I do. Since you taught it to me every morning, yeah, I love it.
If you wouldn't miss it.
No, I wouldn't. I don't.
And if you were just to and I wanna just so if
I
you're out
have
there
it.
and you're listening, why do you what do you think it's done for you and changed in you, and why do you do it, and what does it give you? So if somebody's out there and they're like, "I'm not Catholic, I don't even know what this rosary thing is." I know we heard yesterday, by the way, that there's a Protestant rosary too, that's different. It has 7 what
Pre-
did he say?
He's Presbyterian rosary apparently. Instead of having 5 sets of 10 beads, it has 7 sets of 7 beads. Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah, that was interesting that he
One guy
said.
drives a Ford and one guy drives a Chevy. They both get you to the same place. It doesn't matter. Okay. It's okay. So what does it do for me? I have found it to be a wonderful way for me to pray and meditate and get my day started every morning. And I have had some really personal good insight come out of it since I've been doing really good insight. Really has changed my life.
Will you give
Really
us an
has.
example maybe of an insight really quick?
It's just personal stuff about me.
Okay.
And you know, I, all I can say is that it has given me the ability to be uh way better in relationships. Way better.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I love it. Will you come back again?
Okay.
So, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in, for listening. If you enjoyed anything, you want to talk to JF, you can send me a message at elizabeth@elizabethchance.com. All the information will be in the sidebar in my description. I just want you to know if you feel alone, if you feel lost, if you feel like just that you need to talk to a friend, please reach out to me. You can reach me at any time, and I promise I will reach back out to you. Again, my email is elizabeth@elizabethchance.com. And again, subscribe if you like today's podcast and share it with your friends. And you can go on my Patreon, which again is www.patreon.com/busy living sober. And again, that will also be in the bio and description of today's podcast. I just want you to know you're not alone. Don't ever think that you're alone. Thank you to everybody that writes to me, by the way. I have so many new friends. I feel like, oh my gosh, I got a friend here, I've got a friend there, I've got a friend here, I've got a friend there, I've got all these new friends. It's kind of amazing.
Maybe you'll have to take it on the road someday.
One day I'll take it on the road. We'll have a road show.
Mhm.
I would love that. I was thinking about that today. Anyway, I'm not going to digress anymore. And thank you guys all for listening. And again, keep getting busy,
Busy.
living.
So, bye.
Bye, everybody. Take care.